Hello and welcome to another episode of Fintech Focus TV with me, Toby. And today we are continuing our series of speaking to some of the most influential fintechs of 2021 as listed by the Financial Technologist magazine. One of those companies is a company that I absolutely love. It is one of the best kept secrets of the financial technology space. Some may be saying valantic who. I'm going to be saying you're going to be hearing an awful lot more about them over the course of the next couple of years, particularly under the stewardship of Peter Holmgren. Peter Holmgren, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Toby.
It's an absolute pleasure. Listen, great to see you on the show. And we've been talking a lot over the last few months, and I've been seeing the sort of rapid acceleration of the business over here in the UK. I've mentioned best kept secrets before, so I'm going to pass it over to you to give us a bit of background about it. Peter, first and foremost, before we really dig into everything, can you give us a bit of background about yourself and then give us a little bit more about Valantic FSA as well, please?
Yes, of course. So my name is Peter. I've been in the financial industry for quite a while. I started my career in the fintech space by joining Ulink back in Paris. That was back in the days when we were only 47 people, and then we grew quite quickly. And I stayed there for almost 7 years. Grew from sales into managed director UK, then gone into managed director EMEA for Ulink. I then moved on to join Fidessa, where I run Fidessa's new business as regional sales manager EMEA for Fidessa. I then moved on to Valantic. I joined Valantic, especially Valantic Group. I joined them now 8 months ago, and it's a very, very interesting company. To give you a little bit of background, Valantic Group is actually one of the fastest growing fintechs in the DACH region, which is the German-speaking world, part of the world. And we are today just about 1,300 people within the group. The financial technologies arm, which is the Valantic FSA arm, are today 330 people. And we are growing out of Germany, sprung out of the DACH region, as I said before. We are the industry challenger when it comes to the fixed income trading platform, I would say. Even though we've been around for a while, we have the right combination of the next generation technology, and that combined with the right people of capital market knowledge. We offer full coverage when it comes to the D2D and D2C trading platform when it comes to credit rates, swaps, repos, CFDs, etc., etc. We offer off-the-shelf gateways, over 50 off-the-shelf gateways for finding liquidity for both D2D and D2C. We have a proven track record when it comes to our technology, which is used by some of the big boys in the industry. Some of them are, of course, JP Morgan and UniCredit. We are driving innovation, but most importantly, I would say we are a true partner to our clients, where we work in a true partnership with a very flexible commercial model and a proven delivery process.
And it's a really interesting piece for you to come into. I mean, I've been talking to you, as I say, for the last few months about this, and every time I speak to you, I see this sort of broad grin come across your face about the excitement, about the scale and potential of opportunity here. Tell me a little bit about your, as you say, it's not long to be in a new position, 7-8 months or so.
Yes.
But I've rarely seen you, and I've known you for a long time. I've rarely seen you as excited about anything as you are about the sort of scale and scope of this opportunity.
Yes.
And that comes from a very excitable person, full stop. So it's so when we look at this, we're talking fever pitch, and you mentioned there about the scale. You mentioned there about the sort of sleeping giant that sort of sat there with so much already behind it. This has got a platform to really do some revolutionary things to the industry. Tell us a little bit about what really sort of influenced you to go from one of the behemoths of the industry that you've been in before to coming and taking this sort of opportunity, which is taking something which has got huge potential from scratch here in the UK and being able to grow it into something which I think you're as excited as you've ever been about anything.
Yeah, that's the interesting part of the role that I've taken on board. Of course, first of all, the Valantic who came a little bit from the fact that I've been privileged a lot to work in this industry for a very long time, working with brilliant people, inventing, moving forward, and doing whatever they can to help their clients. And a very dear friend of mine reached out one day and said, Peter, If you are not happy where you're at, you should. I should introduce you to a company called Valantic, and that's where the phrase came from. Valantic, who? I said to him, who are you talking about? And I got introduced to Joachim, which is our division CEO, and we started talking. And unfolded in front of me, in front of my eyes, was a vision of, sorry my language here, a non-bullshit vision, where actually interesting technology, interesting people, excellent people, people that really wants to work with our clients, helping them, bringing the best to their workflows and actually solving their problems, not forcing something onto them, but actually working with them. That combined with a technology that is well proven, covering both pricing, quoting, and trading within the most demanding D2D and D2C workflows or markets, with new technology that we bring to the market, where we open up our own technology with a mesh layer, allowing us to actually centralize data and become extremely data-driven. So when I started discovering that, and I discussed with Joachim and the team, and the more I poked into the company, the more excited I became. And today it's being part of an established company with a startup mentality that actually wants to do things, and that is exciting. That is exciting.
I think that hits the nail on the head there, doesn't it? When you talk about an established business with a startup mentality, that's such an exciting position to be in, because it gives you the opportunity to, to have all of that buzz, all of that excitement, all of that sort of potential and opportunity of the startup with the backing of something that's proven, and the market share that you've already got in Germany is phenomenal, right? And so the ability to come in there and challenge and disrupt in a huge market here in the UK is also tremendously, it presents a tremendous opportunity as well, right? So it's it develops itself into a stunning opportunity in a business there that sort of, I think, becomes very compelling to people who you've been talking to. But moving into a new business and a startup business, particularly during a pandemic, can have its challenges as well. And
definitely, yeah.
I remember, and I've seen some of the posts that you've been putting out there about your onboarding journey. And it is difficult. Look, we're going through it ourselves at the moment. We've had 2 people start today, and it is definitely, I can fully say, a lot easier to embed someone into a business when they're physically there and in position.
Yeah.
Let alone to do it in a startup mentality where you're selling a new product into a new area with of course high potential, but to be doing it into a place where you can't meet and see and feel your customers at the same sort of stage. So you're so I'm really interested, but the fact is that hasn't held you back, and if anything, it's only accelerated things for you. So I'm really interested to take, and this show's always been about sort of taking the lessons, the opportunities, and turning the negative into a positive. Tell us a little bit about your journey so far over the last 7-8 months or so. Tell us a little bit about the onboarding process. Tell us a little bit about what it's been like in the trenches, starting something up in a completely remote and disjointed and disorganized, well, not disorganized, but
disorganized world.
It's a disorganized world, right? It's a very, very difficult thing to do, and to miss the, you're starting without the trade shows, without the ability to network, without the all of these sort of things, but you've pivoted it in a magical way, and you're really making marketing work for you. You've got some great allies and partners who I know you're working with all of that as well. And you've got a completely, it's sort of by necessity fashioned something that I think is really, really impressive and really, really exciting for how you take that market on and showcase the business for it. Give us a little bit of an overview of what you've picked up, what you've learned, and how you've managed to make this successful in challenging circumstances.
Yeah, so it has been, but I think it's been challenging for us all. It's been a tough journey, as to say, but a tough journey also open up. I've always been of the mentality that if you have a challenge in front of you, well, that also opens up a couple of opportunities, actually. And as I said to you before, Toby, I've been privileged, very privileged, to be in this industry for a while, so I can actually pick up the phone and call people and ask for help. And that's what I've done. I've reached out to my contacts and asked them for help. And I also had the opportunity where we were transitioning our company. Valantic FSA is now transitioning into the new Valantic FSA. We had opportunity to work on the website. We're coming out with a new website, new documentation, and that really helps, and that motivates you, because when you take on a new role, just as a sales or project management or anything, any particular role which is very defined, it might be harder. The luxury I had was that my role is not really defined. It's like, take us out and make us known in the industry, take our technology and bring it to the market. And having German engineering of technology behind you when you go to market is quite comfortable. It's like driving driving the best Beamer you got out there, right? It's you know it works, and when you do that, you're always comfortable going talking to clients. Of course, we will change ways that the software operates, the changes that we will find on especially the evolution of the market, right? The evolution of the market has been going electronic for a while. Coming into the fixed income space, it feels a little bit like you're back when the equity market went electronic.
Exactly.
There's still, there is, don't get me wrong, it's electronic, but there is still workflows that you can address. And there is still a need in the market of actually looking at how to digitize and to automate those workflows and bringing sorry, I'm going passionate on you again, Toby.
That's great. That's what I want. That's what I love to see. You see my smile across my face at the moment. And this is what I love. This is the box office Peter Holmgren that we wanted to see.
But bringing those workflows to work in harmony with the person rather than trying to replace something. Bring it to it actually works for you. Yeah. Rather than work against you. And that's what we're trying to do. And the privilege that we have is to be able to work with technology allowing us to automate workflows that today are heavily manual, so they take time. So we automate them for a trader. So he's notified when something happens. He has the right data in front of him. We're bringing our old Java screen into an HTML5 UI. By doing so, we are applying an application layer. And that suddenly then brings up a whole new level of data centricity and optimization. And doing so, suddenly you can have flow from multiple systems just running into one in an aggregated view in one single screen, independently where the data sits. Are we there yet? No, but are we on the journey? Definitely.
Absolutely.
So that's where we're going, and that's what's so exciting about Valantic.
Yeah, and I think that's the scale of opportunity is really, obviously energizing, to anyone coming into the business, and you can clearly see it sort of coursing through you and the way you sort of express that story as well. I think it's really interesting what you were just talking about there, because this, whilst everything negative that we can say about the pandemic, it's also given us the opportunity to sort of look and reflect and look for efficiencies in the way that we and do things a bit differently. So there's an old story that I've heard a few times by one of the former England rugby managers, who talks about the opportunity to sort of take a house, take everything out of it and put it outside on the front lawn, and then say, right, just put back in the things that are really important to you, and then replace what's not important. And there's an awful lot of crap that's out, that will be left out on that front lawn by the time you've done it, because you sort of collect a load of things, you collect a load of habits. And I think if you take that on a business sense, and you look at where we've been in the sort of norm and running in the same sort of instance, there are two things that really strike out about this, what you've just said. Number one is you're moving into a marketplace that is electronifying, very similar to the equities a couple of years. So we've got some context here. We've got a sort of plan, and we know a little bit about what's happening in the marketplace. The second thing is that the way that we would traditionally have done that would be very different, because there would be trade tech and various different shows and summits and physical networking events. So we look at it and say, right, what's the best way of selling it in that sort of arena? Are we going to increase our content to add value to companies? Are we going to make sure we're looking at video and technology and various other bits and pieces to it, to tell that story? Are we going to go out there and do exactly the same, or just or hibernate and wait for things to be better? And I've been talking about this a lot recently, the sort of companies who are on the offense rather than the defense in terms of their approach to the marketplace. Now, offense to me in sales traditionally means being more aggressive, making more calls, and going after companies with more venom. What I'm actually seeing offense as at the moment is being able to go in there and add more value and seek out more opportunities to really partner with companies and showcase how you can solve their problems. Now, to me, that seems to be very much the sort of port of call for you and the route which you guys are taking and doing it really, really well at the moment.
Yeah.
Is that something which you've seen as an advantage as well, the ability to do your job in a particularly different way and interact with your customers in a different way, or is it still making the best of a bad situation?
Well, that's a good question, Toby. I'm old school. You know me by now. I'm old school. I do like my phone. I do like my meetings, and I do like to see people. But then yet again,
together though, and it's that hybrid thing, isn't it? You put the two of them together, and you've got something which is far better, isn't it?
Exactly. So I think the pandemic has learned and pushed us to adapt and change the way we do business, the way we look at things. The mentality has always been, though, I have to say, to work with a client is so much more valuable in a partnership. Alone, you're often a single island, and it doesn't really help you. But working together has always been a strength. And especially when you work with client, we are technicians, right? We develop specialized software, and as I said to you before, the privilege is that some of those engineers are the brilliant minds of calculations and how math is driven, right? But we are not traders, and the only way to work in a very good relationship and bring out good software is to work with our clients. And if you work as a partner, you can adapt and adjust the software, but we also adapt and adjust. And the way we work with our clients, the way we work, as you said, to answer your question for once, actually, sorry, Toby, I got distracted quite often on software, right? But never mind. To answer your question, yes, it does change the behavior of we all have been working and reaching out to people. I've started using LinkedIn. I never were on LinkedIn before, right? And
you're doing well on it.
Now I'm doing posts and I'm
a fan. I'm a fan.
It's a different way, but it's also a way that I think is important for any organization, is to push forward and to learn from what I will never go back to the office as I used to be in the office at 7 a.m, going home at late at night. We won't do that ever again. I think it's going to change the way that we interact with people. Will the meetings be still held face to face? I hope so. Will there be as many? Probably not. We can probably do quite a lot over Teams and Skype or whatever we use, right? Zoom. Sorry, that was the word I was looking for. But we can use that quite a lot. And many of the non-essential meetings has been changed, and that will change forever, I think. And it's more productive. We're much more productive today than what we ever been, I would say, because you have all the tools around you, and you're focusing on what you're supposed to focus on. And
it's a very good time for this to have happened, just in terms of the ability for us to utilize that technology to adapt to it, to thrive with it. And the accent of Zoom has really allowed us to sort of say, right, do we have, is there a better way? And I think that's a really interesting aspect of to be able to look at this and come out of it with. And I guess that comes into the space that which you're looking to serve at the moment in that fixed income world. Valantic FSA provides a product here that can provide a better way. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that customers in the space are looking at the moment, and how you guys are able to provide that solution to improve their position and really add value to the industry at the moment, because I think this is really interesting.
There is several ways that we address the market. One of them is that through the mesh technology that I mentioned before. Today, many organizations are stuck in a single form of software suite, which doesn't really communicate well with others. They don't play well with others. So the data is distracted or dispersed over several different systems. And where we help our clients is we're not yet there yet, but we're getting there. But what we're trying to do is to open up that you can integrate that best of breed software, but where you would like to inject your own IP, inject or build your own apps, why not? You should be allowed to do so. And that keeps the vendors on the toes. And the ones that actually sells the stuck on systems, they won't be able to offer that. And that's not what the clients are looking for. The clients are today looking for optimization. They're looking at ways to centralize the data. Sorry for saying data a lot, but they're looking for new ways of pushing.
I think everyone is at the moment, aren't they?
Yes, they are. But that's one thing I see. Another thing is that their workflows is changing. They're going more electronic. They're trying to harmonize the way that they're working. Fixed income is also moving a little bit into what I call the equity-like workflows. Not all of them. Don't get me wrong. There is workflows that would always stick the way they are today, but many of them are moving towards an equity-like trading methodology, if one would use that, which is a little bit agency. They take on. It's more difficult for them to take on risk. They can't take on risk on their books, and as such, they would like to, but they can't take away the order flow either. So they will take it on, they will hold it, and they will come into what I call the agency model, where they actually start addressing, okay, I can't take my risk. I don't want to turn away my client. Now I want it all together. Yeah. And that changes the operation of the systems that they use, not the persons that are using the technology, but the way that the message management on the back end starts actually to communicate. And that is the challenge I see the industry is going through. As I said, not all parts of the industry, but a big part of the industry. We see that in rates, we see it in repos, we see it in swaps. So we see that there are movements and questions. But the only way to address questions is actually by asking the questions. Then we can start talking about, do you know what I miss the most, Toby?
Go on.
It's actually the whiteboard. I love my whiteboard. To take the whiteboard and
I'm surprised you haven't replaced I mean, that is without question the best fitting bookshelf I've seen in fintech throughout this whole period. I mean, every book has got a place, but it's going to have to be removed and put a whiteboard behind you, isn't it?
Exactly. We need a whiteboard. Can't Zoom and the guys build a whiteboard for us? Because I love my whiteboard. It's where you take a client's problem, you look at it and you just throw it on a whiteboard, and you look at flow by flow. And once you started looking at flow by flow, then suddenly you optimize them. This is the way. And then you ask the trader, what would you actually like to achieve? Because there's two discussions to a conversation, as they say. There's two coins of that, two sides to that coin. Sorry, that came out wrong. But you have two sides, right? You have the trader that he needs to optimize his time, his trading patterns, and the data and information that he has at his disposal to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
Then you have us, the geeks on the back end, that actually needs to fix what he needs to get done, right? But for him to push a button, there's quite a lot of stuff going on in the back end, right? It's not just a single straight-through processing, and that's what we're trying to achieve. And that's what you get when you start actually modeling this on a whiteboard. Sorry, coming back to the whiteboard.
Don't move away from it. I think this to me is the crux. And look, there's 300 companies who are listed in the Financial Technologist magazine's list this year of companies that we think are going to. And we've worked with, as you know, EY and Baringa and Lloyd's Banking Group and all these businesses to basically identify, that shortlist. And I think this is a seminal year. It is our biggest list that we've done 4 or 5 years into producing this. And it's the biggest list we've done because I think there's so much that's going to happen this year, and there's so many companies that need light thrown onto them because it's a seminal time for what's happening in the marketplace. I've been talking a lot recently about the golden thread. What is it that sort of combines all of these companies? What combines the companies who are growing, doing different things, adding value, And one of the principal things that you've just highlighted there is saying that they are looking at genuine industry problems, and they're providing real solutions that work with, to optimize the time of people using them. And it will be optimizing time, it will be optimizing cost, it will be reducing friction. These are the things that which are the general issues that people are looking for. Yeah. And companies that get that right, genuinely get that right, and are solving the true issues and providing real efficiencies in the marketplace, in my mind, that we won't just see grow this year, but you'll see explode. I've seen companies over the last, I've been speaking to a lot over the last couple of weeks, and they're reporting the last year seen them grow by 100%, 200%, 300%. Significant numbers, both in terms of headcount, but also in terms of revenue. And the two put together are obviously the mecca of where we want to be. Yes. But when you look at what's happened through that period that we've seen over the course of last year, and you think, right, okay, adding this to it, I think what we can be looking at is some numbers there that dwarf those sort of figures in terms of where people can go and what sort of numbers we're going to see in terms of growth over the next year, because it is a very, very exciting time. It is a market that is ripe for absolute disruption. We've spoken about this in the past, and in our recent debate show, I know it sort of came up. This is real time for real innovation. It is a market event, a world economic event that has lit the fuse of digital innovation within the financial services markets. Yeah. They have risen up to it spectacularly. They've seen a different way of working, and they're hungry to really gather and gain those efficiencies that are going to take them further forward. And I think it's businesses like yours doing innovative things that can add real value that are really going to be at the forefront and the crest of what that comes to look forward to. So let's move on to that and look at the future of Valantic FSA and what you're trying to do. You've started growing out the team. You're backed by, as you say, a great company to do some amazing things as a startup business. Give us a little bit about what 2021 looks like for the company, some of the priorities, some of the things which you're looking to achieve, and what your predictions are for Valantic in the UK over the next couple of years.
Okay, that's trying to take my crystal ball out here. But,
yeah, absolutely.
I have to say we are one of the core strengths of Valantic is the people. It's a people's business. It's people that is excellent. Our leadership is excellent, and I have the privilege of working with these people and to take them internationally. What are the challenges? The challenges is to continue to deliver the top quality software that we are delivering to the financial industry today, but also to modernizing it into modernizing. That's actually the wrong word, but actually adapting it, if that makes sense. It's a better word to use. Adapting it into what has changed in the industry, and that the changes we discussed. That's the challenge that I see, to be able to adapt to all the changes that you have in the industry, especially around repos and swaps and so on. And we can do that. Technology-wise, we can do that. We are on top of that. How are we growing out the team? I see Valantic FSA going from being the challenger in this industry to become the leader in this industry. Don't get me wrong. There is other great softwares out there, but I'm not seeing any other looking at the way that Valantic is looking at it, by opening up and actually exposing ourselves in a way, because opening up your software stack, allowing clients to develop themselves, will keep you on your toes. Because if you're not delivering, it's just literally being taken out, and that is different. So how do we operate our team? I've seen we're going to grow the team extensively. We just today actually onboarded one of our first new sales persons here in London. The second employee of Valantic FSA UK. I'm proud to say.
Doubled in size already.
We doubled in size already. We're taking on a third one, probably within this quarter. Yeah. We are bringing in a product manager that will allow us to actually document better client requirements out of the UK, and then communicating back to our excellent engineering team in Germany. Once we've done that, we're probably gonna hopefully go into the office. Actually, that's one thing. The day they open up that office, I'm gonna stand at the door, shaking it up. What else are we doing? We're going to continue to spread our brand name internationally and continue to work with our clients. I see, as I said before, I see us to go from being the challenger to the leader in the fixed income trading space. It's an interesting space to be in. As I said initially, I'm very privileged to have been with this market for so many years, and as I said, met brilliant people, great minds of technology and trading. So that's what we do. And continue on to be in this industry is just a privilege, and to continue to work with my clients is also the biggest privilege of them all. And doing so with a company such as Valantic it's one of the biggest privileges out there. It's a challenge. Will it be easy? Nothing is easy in life. It's always easy to turn around and say, oh, that's so difficult. But it isn't. Just look at it differently. Attack the problem differently. Try to solve it. We're coming out, as I said before, we're coming out with brand new marketing material. We're working with some of the best in the industry to do so. We are looking at things in a new way. The future is going to be great. It's going to be fun. That's the advantages of our group CEO. He allows us to have fun, and it is fun. It should be fun to work. That's the biggest challenges, I think, for senior management, is to make it fun for their employees to be part of something. And Valantic is more than something. It's a family. It's a great company.
I've heard. I love that. Just that passion snuck out again for you.
sorry.
and it's great to release it. But that happens. You can tell the engagement's there. You can tell the excitement's there. You can see the scale and scope of the opportunity. Everything I've ever heard about Joachim and the business has been really positive. I've spoken to a number of people since we were speaking first about Valantic, and you just get great feedback every single universally every time you hear about it. And that that's very close to my heart, that whole concept of work being fun. One of my big bugbears is people who are averse to waking up on a Monday and waiting for hump day Wednesday and Friday at the end of the week. Work should be something there which you're as passionate as you very clearly are about the sort of scale and scope of the opportunity, and fun comes from shaking up an industry. Fun comes from doing something great and having something there which you can get as excited and enthusiastic about as you have. And I just love hearing this whole last half hour or so of you just being absolutely very clearly in love with the mission of what you're trying to do at the moment. It's great to hear it. For people who are listening, Peter, and have sort of leaned in and caught your ear with regards to the sort of revolution that you're creating at the moment, what's the best way of them getting in touch with you?
They can reach me. They can reach me, of course, via LinkedIn. They can via our website. They can join any forum that we're on and get in contact with me. More than happy to speak to anybody. They don't need to come to us to buy something. They can come to us to discuss problems that they have with the workflow. Maybe we can, maybe we can't help them, and I'm sure we can help them, but they shouldn't feel any pressure. We are actually, a prospect that I spoke to the other day actually said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, we might not be buying from you." And I asked her, "Well, if we don't talk, we can't help each other out. And just by talking, we're learning, and it's all about learning, right? Learning about their problems, their workflows, and how they can be addressed." And as I said, my longest sales pitch was actually 15 years over 3 different companies. But it took me 3 companies to sell to them. But
play the long game.
Exactly. They become very dear friends of mine, the people that I've been working with, and it's just a pleasure every time, right? And once again, it's a long game. This industry is all about taking time and understanding. It's not a fast-moving industry. We have fast-moving technology that is pushing the door, though. So you better get on the train, I almost said, because the train is actually leaving the platform. Right? And the ones that are not getting on the train, they will have the chance. The train will come back. Don't worry.
But you'll be behind it. You'll be behind it already, won't you? And that's exactly. We've been saying this, and this has also become more and more relevant every time I've heard it, particularly over the last couple of weeks, is is I don't think there's ever been a stage where standing still is moving you further backwards. And I know it's a
Yeah.
cliche in terms
Yeah.
of where it is, but particularly with the evolution of technology and how some companies have really embraced that over the course of the last couple of years, that sort of step further forward, that playing on the offense has never been more important. And I love the fact that you guys have created something there which I think absolutely does that and really moves everything further forward to to a whole new level. So Peter, it's always a pleasure, but particularly so when we're hearing you talk about this and this new baby of yours, and quite about how high potential the opportunity truly is, because it is exceptional. It is hugely exciting. Every time I hear you talk about it, I get myself excited about the scale and scope.
You can come and join us, Toby. You can come and join us.
I'm in. But listen, it's just fantastic to do it, and thanks so much for joining us on the show today and giving us a bit more insight into valantic FSA and everything you've been doing. I wish you nothing but the very best of luck, and I'm sure you're not even going to need it, because it's a great story.
Thank you very much. It's actually a privilege. Thank you very much for having me, Toby.
Absolute pleasure, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon on another episode of Fintech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.